Hey, what's up everybody? It's Keith Ciaramello, and I am here to talk to you about a new thing I'm doing, online critiquing for you guys to help you with your tattooing, your drawing, your painting. Basically what's going to happen is I'm going to put up a PayPal button on my website. It's going to be $50, and you're going to wind up with a video coming back to you that's probably anywhere from a half an hour to an hour long of critique. And what I'm going to do is just, instead of trying to explain it, I'm going to do one for you here. We have Justin Baduo, I hope I'm saying your name right, was kind enough to be the first victim, and he sent me some tattoos that he did and the references that go along with them. I'm going to just make this a little bit of somewhat brief example of what it is that you guys will be getting. I really think it can be beneficial to you to have this kind of an experience. The video will be posted to my server. It'll be private, not public. It's in a spot on the server that'll be emailed to you. You can download it if you want to upload it and make it public. That's great, but that's totally your call. So let's get started. Right here we've got one of Justin's tattoos, and this is the reference on the left, and on the right is the tattoo, obviously. I don't know the artist who did the piece on the left, but it's really cool, and taking a closer look at it, it definitely looks like a digital painting. And then here's the tattoo on the right. If I had to guess, this looks like the inside of a left bicep. Kind of see an armpit up here. Obviously, Justin made a decision to shift the colors. To take the white makeup of the face and to turn it more of like a murky yellow or a greenish color, which is fine. There's nothing wrong, because really what's more important than the color is the value range and the contrast. So the first thing that I'd like to show you guys is what he accomplished there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double up here. I'm going to make a copy so we can always revert back to the original. Same thing here with the reference. This is the Photoshop stuff I'm not going to dwell on. I'm just going to run through it. This is the stuff I'll show you guys on my Photoshop DVD, so you guys will be able to do all of this stuff on your own. So the first thing you want to do is contemplate how did I do with values. Right away, I see value issues with the tattoo. I think the areas, like the cheekbone areas and the bottom under here, I think they all read a little too light. So what would be the first thing I would do? Well, the first thing I would do is darken those up. So this is going to be pretty heavy-handed too, as those of you who've taken my live seminars know. I mean, I got to do this kind of fast, but I would have definitely gone darker in here. Definitely, way darker under the chin and head, to bring that head somewhat forward. Nearly black, but not completely black. It's one of the first things I would have definitely done, is gone darker here. So you know what? I'll just work my way up. Maybe a little bit more darkness in here. Not only that, but I'm going to grab a paintbrush as well. I look at the reference over here on the left, and I think I personally would have pulled this a little more of this stuff down here to cradle the face. Does that make sense? So yeah. And then obviously, you would have had to have done a little something more with the hands or whatever, but I would have done a little more with this and maybe a few little tiny more abstractions down here. None of this is major, but I think it starts to make a difference. It creates a little more balance. And I know we're working on it in black and white, but really, like I said, it's not about the colors, which is a lesson that's, it's a little hard for people to take, but the colors can be right and the picture can still be wrong because of the values. The values are the most important thing. So right now I'm just going to show in this example where I feel Justin, hit and missed when it came to just his value range. I feel like the chin is darker here. I also feel like, again, if it looks really dark to you, it could be the way the video gets compressed, and I'm doing an exaggerated version. It would obviously be way more subtle if I was tattooing. Darker in here. This corner of the mouth thing I see as a very dark spot. And then obviously this stuff, I would have made the lip line very sharp and dark. Probably would have used a round for this area. And those of you who've seen the DVDs, you know my techniques as far as using the round, mostly for the focal points like the eyes and the nose and the mouth. I think his lip shape got missed a little bit too. The bow of the lip kind of got lost, so that's something I would go in and try and get that back. And then there's an overall dark tone that's not quite as dark as this tone. And then, as is almost always the rule, the upper lip is dark. Okay. And then we get up into here, we run into some of the same stuff. I would have went darker on the bottom. That looks okay. Sculpturally, I think a little darker here, a little darker here, and now our nose is jumping forward more. I see a highlight issue on the nose too. Let me get back to the paintbrush. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of hot spots here on the nose that are not there. Again, I would have went in with a round. Let me get something. That's going to be too sharp, but whatever. Let's go for it. Like I said, it's going to be heavy-handed. But yeah, like right there, bang. And a little bit of that there too, bang. And I would have also hit a hot spot with my liner there. Definitely where you definitely captured some of it here, so that's awesome. Right there. It's not here if you look at the piece, but you chose to put it there. That's not bad. But it's not there either, so that's a judgment call. All right, so we were working our way up. Also here I see like a little bit of a shape problem with the fingernails, a little squarer, and the fingertips too. There's a little bit of a highlight on the fingers, but you know what? I'm going to knock that back. I'm going a little too crazy. All right, let me do this. Okay, so let's look at the image on the right here, the tattoo, before, after, and we've only gone up to the middle of the nose at this point, but I just want to show you guys a little more dramatic, I think. Okay, so let's continue. Definitely a little bit of value issues around the eye area too, but let's work the outside of the face first, because it's like you're framing everything up. So I would knock this all back. Definitely knock this all back. Like that wouldn't be skin in my tattoo. Maybe up in here this would be where you have way more of it. But not on the sides, because I want to pull the eye into the center. Okay. Okay. And, you know, I know this is like up in here, it's easy to do this on a computer, but now we're up in the armpit and the customer is miserable and we're miserable, and I know, believe me, dude, I know. So, darker on these sides, definitely push this hair back too. This ear and this earring pushed back. Alright, and then around the eyes, I'm seeing the bridge pushed way back. I'm also seeing that this should have been brought down further, this area. A little bit more shading in the eyes, but I like that you made the eyes brighter than the picture, because that's something I would have totally done as well to bring that out. That's more drama again, you know. But to make those eyes pop, you want the darkness around them. So even though over here on the left it's very bright at the ridge of the eye, I would have actually done a little sculptural shading there, just to really sink those eyes in, and then be able to kind of light them up like you did. We get in here and push some of this back too. Okay. All right. And now he's got the voodoo emblem up there in his head, and I think that's another thing that needs to be established a little bit more strongly. You could see as soon as you flip it into the grayscale, it's kind of gone. And you know what? That's one thing that I would tell you guys. Even if you don't have a computer, you could literally throw photographs of your work onto your copier, your black and white copier. I know I just made a sloppy mess out of this, but I'm just going to show that it should have been depicted a little better along with these wrinkle lines. You could just throw this stuff right on your copier and do this black and gray, you know, black and white test, value test. Because values are more important than colors. If there's anything from this specific example I would say take away is value is way more important than color. Because he could, like, this one's mainly black and white, like we saw. I'll flip back to the color later. But whether he decided to colorize this green, red, purple, doesn't matter. Because if the values don't convey the idea, then the colors are going to be really inconsequential. There's a draftsmanship issue that I'd like to point out about the eyes. These eyes are on the left in the original painting are very round. The iris, the pupil are round. You've flattened out your eyes. Your eyes look a little more football shaped. Be careful of that. So let me zoom in a little bit. And that's a drawing issue. You know, obviously there's going to be some distortion because we're looking at a tattoo on someone's body and not at a flat piece of paper, so I understand. But it is pretty obvious that if they were a little bit more round, they would look a little bit more real. That's the key. And again, I would have, if you look, there is no real highlight there, and I don't mind definitely don't mind your artistic interpretation of putting a highlight in there, but let's see what it looks like if we just paint in the, if we just paint in the darker pupil. Let me sample a little here. Not bad. And then there's dark color. Let me turn down my brush a little bit. There's dark color around the iris. Is this the iris? I guess this is the iris. I don't know. Where the color is. We've got that kind of darker line, if you want to call it a line. You know, there's no highlight in here, but I mean, these are cool. These are cool license issues, artistic license issues. I like your highlights, so I'm all for them. And you know, let's put them back in. I'll put one I'll put one over here. You know, definitely cool. Now that the eyes are round, a little more round, and the pupils are a little bit more straightened out. And you did something I like to do also, which is put the wet spot in the corner. That brings out the eyes. You are missing the lip of the eye, which it's another one of those tricks that even if it's not in the picture, I like to put it in. See that ledge there? In this case, it is there. If you look at your reference, there is a lip, you know, on the eyelid. And that one, I drew that one terrible. But anyway, it's not about my drawing. And what else could we look at? No, maybe a little bit more of our values going in the other direction. A little here. Definitely here. Definitely here. Definitely a little there. And definitely a little there. This guy had these cool texture things on his face too that I think you should have monkeyed around with. You know, he's got these weird, you know, like, I guess wrinkles in the makeup or in the face, and it's going to be hard for me to draw them in Photoshop, but I would have done something textural on the cheek area. These shapes are so graphic too that come off the nose. It's hard to resist wanting to put them in. These shapes that come off of the nose makeup and into the eye. I mean, they're really graphic. I mean, it's like there's a real shape there, like a really interesting shape. It's going to be hard to draw it in now, but you could see it. Everybody see it? Okay. And, you know, more stuff between the eyes, too. I see a lot of opportunities where you could have rendered some more wrinkling in the eyes. And then, like, now I start to see, like, the fingers should have been possibly a brighter element. I would have definitely brought these up. Because if you think about it in terms of the light source, now you could tell what's in the light source. And something that I meant to say earlier, which is really blatant, is, and you'll see this on most pictures of people, this area next, it's hard maybe to see my cursor, but I'm in the left image, and I'm pointing to our left side of the nostril into the laugh line, the cheek line. Look how bright that is in there, okay? And then look what Justin chose to do. He chose to go dark. That's not what's there. So don't invent stuff that's not there. I know that sounds horrible. I take that back. Feel free to invent stuff that's not there. But when it comes to stuff that is essential to the lighting of the piece, that thing that's going to express, the lighting is going to express the volume and the dimension of the piece. It's lighter over here too. It's not quite as light because we've established our light source is kind of over here on this piece. If you could see, I drew a little light shining kind of from like 11, nearly 12 o'clock position up there. Yeah, so this is a little lighter too. And you'll see on most pictures of people, this is almost always a bright spot. That, for some reason, that spot likes to catch light. Okay, and then let me get some of that shadow back in there. All right. I might have reinforced. I know it's not quite like this in the original, but this is where you do take some license. I might have reinforced the shadow there, not as much as I just did, But again, I'm just like trying to jam through this in Photoshop as quickly as I can. And then maybe some more, you know, some more of the hair. But again, I know you're already up in the trouble zone here in the armpit where no one wants to be tattooed, no one wants to tattoo. I'm wondering now about the brows. I mean, personally, my nature would be to shadow the brows, but I did say, hey, don't do stuff that's not there. So let me go back in and let me do the opposite. Let me take those up in value like they are, just to be true to what I'm saying. Okay, bridge of the nose, pretty light up here. And then you have, like I said, all these cool opportunities for wrinkles and such. Cool. Coolio, cool. All right, so I'm going to just turn this on and off. We're going to look at the before and after. Before, soak that in. After, before, and then after. I'll just slide the opacity down now. We'll look at it that way. I'm going to slowly pull back. So let me just give you 20% less of what I did, ish. Okay? Okay. So now this is 20% less of my dodging and burning and painting and such. Before, after. Before, after. I'd say the most significant things are the amount of darkness around the eyes and the roundness of the eyes, and these on the fitrum of the mouth, the upper lip area of the mouth. These highlights, not highlights, but light area. In the case of the left side, it is a highlight, but these light areas next to the nose really needed to be there, I think. Okay, so there is Voodoo 1 JPEG. Hopefully that helped. I hope you guys learn from that, and I hope, Justin, thank you very much for making yourself vulnerable. And I would love to do this for you guys. If you feel like this is something that would help you, that'd be great. I mean, these are doable things too. If Justin can get this client back in the chair, he can do this. He can go from this to this. I firmly believe that. There's very few exceptions to what can and can't be done, but I think he can go from this to this easily. And just to remind you guys of his color scheme, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. I will, let's do this. Let's hit multiply on that. So, and that's 82%. I want to pull it back even further just so we could really see through to his colors. You know what? That's not going to show us, unfortunately, the highlight changes. Well, it would take me a little bit too much manipulation to really show you guys, but you could still see it with, I'll just do it like this. With a little of his color showing through, he could still really take this thing a little further in the right direction value-wise, and I think get more drama and more excitement from the piece. And let me just go back to black and white, because I think the black and white is really the best way to see it. And just remember, guys, value more important than color. Boom, there's those high spots. That's going to be the hardest thing to correct. So thanks a lot for watching this segment. Again, this is a tattoo by Justin Bouduo. I'm sure I'm butchering your name, but you know what? I'm Keith Ciaramello, who's been Ciaramello, Ciaramello, Carmelo. So you got my compassion, dude. Some of them I will handle in color. Some of them I will handle in black and white. It really depends on the content and whether or not I think color is your issue, or it's more about drawing and draftsmanship and values. Those are judgment calls that I'm going to make. I could have definitely gone further with this, but I think this is really the lesson that was appropriate for Justin here. And I just want to reiterate something I heard a while back, and I really believe this statement. Everything you need to learn about art is in the last piece that you did. The things you did right, the things you did wrong, everything is in the last piece that you did. So if I can help you, take that last piece that you did and really use it to educate you and push you forward, then please let me do that. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Visit tattoosbykeith.com for more information on how to get your work critiqued by me via online video. Thanks again.